Good morning. I just decided to hit the live button. We were all sitting here talking anyway. Good morning. I just figured I might as well hit the live button even if I'm a couple minutes early. Well, actually, I'm right on time. We were talking anyway, so why not? This way I don't have to type and show my misspellings. I can just speak them. And most of them you won't know the difference. Wow, Tina, I'd say we're 95% greened up down here already. Most of the buds are gone, and we're just in the leaves now. Of course, I think I've heard that the eastern red cedar. I think I mentioned this before, though. The eastern red cedars are in full bloom or in full bud because apparently cedar pollen is really bad this year. Good morning, Diana. Welcome in. Good to see you all. As my name implies, this is a lazy Saturday. I was working on I'm working on a project, but I wanted to get some more info on it. And some of you may have seen it posted earlier. It's all kind of centered around the news that came out not too long ago about the supposedly reintroduction or rebirth of the dire wolf. I thought I'd talk about some of that, but I need to work on that some more. There's a lot of background on that to follow up. Plus, I was going to see if I can get Mark in here today and get him to talk about it, which reminds me, let me see if I've got. Okay. I've got a picture I need to. Let me see if I can get this picture opened and maybe on screen to show you guys. Bear with me a minute. Chat amongst yourselves. I watch a channel that's trying to reduce the eastern red cedar. Huh. He's in Oklahoma and says it's invasive. Well, it may be where he is. That's possible. I wouldn't doubt that it couldn't go east. It's a native species to North America, but I'm not sure it ever up until now. I'm not sure if it'd been across the Mississippi River or not. It's not technically a cedar. I think I mentioned that last week too. That's why it's called an eastern red cedar. 2 words, red cedar, I think. Or maybe it's 1 word, red cedar, because it's not a true cedar. Anyway, they do it somehow sneaky like that. Let's see here, Mr. Zorns. Email. But yeah, it takes off in clearings and around the edges of fields here. Some people have a hard time keeping it out of their pastures here because it'll spring up. The key to it is, though, where it grows is primarily, and this is why it's one of the reasons it's so abundant here, is we have so much limestone rock not far beneath the surface that limestone, what's the right word, carbonate, it's like fertilizer, and the cedars just eat it up. I used to know those names. I need to go back. I probably need to go back and study my school. Let's see. Oh, bear with me. There it is. Okay, let me see this. All right, let's see if I sent it to myself properly. There it is. Oh, yeah, I think some of you guys are gonna like this, I think. I need to rotate it. Hmm. And put it in today's stream. Okay, now let me see if I can. Sorry, guys. I just thought this might be. You might like to see this. I think it'll be worth it once I get it open. Once I do get it open. Aha. Okay. I need to rotate. Rotate. There we go. And enlarge. Uh, hang on just a minute. I'm trying to make this bigger. And I'm still struggling with my Photoshop sometimes. Okay, what am I doing? Oh. There has to be a way to make this look bigger. Oh, come on. It's not that hard. I've done this before. I wonder if I can. I'm trying to save it as a PDF here. That would probably make my life easier. How do I turn this in? How do I make a photo a PDF? Why can I not remember how to do that? another idea. Sorry, guys, bear with me. I'm sure you're having some kind of meaningful conversations out there. Ah, that didn't work. Actually, this may not work at all. Now maybe I got it. And again, maybe I don't got it. Okay, hang on. I'm going back to my maybe this is going to work. Now we got it. Now I'm on to something. Okay, now what do I need to do? I got to share this. Okay, who's in here? John? Hey, John, good morning. Sorry, I'm trying to fix. I wanted to show you guys something. And hey, Carol, welcome in. And show you why Mark isn't here today. Mark has he's got a house full of grandkids now. You guys probably realize or hear him talk about. And so for the last few years, they can look for eggs while they're sobering up. Oh, who's drinking? Smoked ribs for later, John. We'll be right up, buddy. I'll bring some donuts for Zane left. Well, tell you they have adult slip and slide. Oh no, that's my kids. It's got to be. Oh, the wild child. So is that happening today, Brenda? Egg hunts can be adult themed depending on how old participants, how much alcohol is involved, and how long the party goes. Indeed, that's true, Tina. I'm catching up, guys. Hang on just a minute. They have all manners of parties, but they're always adult themed. Yeah, they're adult themed. So anyway, if you can check out this map, and that is Tommy Lee Rabbit instead of Peter Rabbit or anybody else of that nature. And for the grandkids, Mark draws this elaborate map every year of his yard, and it's always a little different. It's never the same. Don't you like his rabbit? I mean, he's such a good artist, and that's basically a pretty good layout of his farm, his ranch, I guess he calls it. The house is sitting up there within a fenced-in area, and then he's got the back lot where the rabbit's sitting is where his big barn is, and he's got a couple of smaller outbuildings and a chicken coop and that sort of thing. I'm not sure what Honeycomb's hangout is. He's never told me about that one yet. Although it looks like when they find that, it's time for dinner. But he gives these out to the grandkids, or this one maybe. I don't know if any of these survive the weekend, but he does a different new map every year, and they hide eggs, I guess, along this route and different things. And the grandkids all come over, I believe, this morning, and they hunt Easter eggs. Now, the interesting part of that to me today is that if you notice, this background image is all on white paper. Well, they got about 4 or 5 inches of snow yesterday, so I'm not sure how well they're going to be able to find the eggs. Hey, I didn't get to ask him a lot of detail about that yet. I'm going to, though. I don't know if you can read all that. I made it a little bit small. I don't know. Let's make it bigger. Not really. Oh, I can do here. Now let me see if I can move this around just a little bit. If you look, here's different things are named. You got the feed tree. You got Fort Willow, and Fort Willow is this huge old cottonwood tree, actually, and that's one of the places where the owl nest is, or the pair of owls hang out. Well, he's got the owls over here in this tree. Excuse me, I'll pass that up. This is actually where the Fort Willow is, and between that and the owl's house is a front gate that you can go in and out. The hippo tree is named that way because the kids think it looks like a hippo. These are some of the largest, oldest trees in this whole area around. Not Wheatland. He doesn't live in Wheatland anymore. Opal, where he lives, and so that's one of the reasons he gets a lot of bird activity, especially the owls. The owls roost there every year, and they raise some young, and then move on, and then they're back when in the winter. I saw them when I was out there a year and a half ago, and his daughter Caitlin has posted a few pictures of them. Yeah, he does this every year, Carol. I probably have copies of previous maps somewhere that he sent me, but I don't know if I know where they're at right now. There's Roscoe's Roost down here. I don't know what Roscoe's Roost is. There's the Rabbit's Hole. This is Nani and Grandpa Z's house. That's what the grandkids call his wife Shauna is Nani, and they call him Grandpa Z. It's kind of funny, kind of cute, I guess, in its own way. But anyway, there's a start point, and they've got to follow this trail all around till they figure out, whatever it is they've hit. It's not. I don't think it's just eggs. I think there's some kind of special egg at the end, and over here apparently is the end in this. What looks like a doghouse to me, and it could be, but it says Honeycomb's Hideout, and I'm not sure exactly what that means. If you'll notice up here, it says Moose Willows. And most of you, if you've been around long enough, know he has moose in his yard fairly often, at least in the wintertime. Well, spring and winter. Of course, there's not a lot of spring. It's mostly winter, a little spring, a little summer, a little fall, winter, lots of winter out there. Like I said, they had about 5 inches of snow yesterday. So I don't know how this Easter egg hunt's going to go this year. But anyway, that's what that's all about. And that's why Mark's not here. I wanted to show the image, though, because he just always does such a good job with it. And he puts a lot of effort into it. And, he's been working on drawings. He and I have been working on drawings. He's been working on drawings. I don't do drawings. I just compliment and save. But we're hopefully going to do a book someday, and we're working on. He's been making drawings for that now for some time, so I have a file of those. Someday I'll share those photos, but not until we get closer to maybe a publishing date, which is probably still a little ways off. But anyway, that's what Mark's doing today. I wish, it's a lot of trouble. I would show you the snow, but I had enough trouble showing you that photographs or that drawing. So I don't know if I'd ever get the I don't know if I'd ever get the photo up. I'm having a brain fart. Where does Mark live? Wyoming. He lives in the Arctic. Pretty damn close to the Arctic, Tina. Mark lives in Wyoming. He lives just west of the Continental Divide. And their house is about 7,000 feet elevation. So it's windy and cold out there. It's colder than Montana usually and windier because of the elevation. And the mountains in Montana may be higher, but the rest of Montana is lower. And so most of Montana is protected from some of this winter weather. But in the middle part of Wyoming, it's such an elevation that you just get a lot colder weather, and they get it all, buddy. They've had a rough one. Well, last year was worse, I think. This year's been kind of odd. It's been kind of up and down. They were actually warm a week ago. I think he said it was in the 70s, and then, like I said yesterday, they got snow again. He didn't say what time dinner was. Who are you asking about dinner? Dave? Cinnamon raisin. I'll have a picture in my cinnamon raisin bagels donut. Well, let me show you here. I don't know. Did Mike make it in, Diana? I had a donut here to show him. Yeah, this one. We'll go with this one. You don't like this, Diana, because this is maple. But see, I have a maple donut here. Doesn't that look good? I promise you it is. I made a special trip this morning to go get donuts because I said this was going to be coffee and donuts. So I got up and drove I don't know, 15 miles, 20 miles one way to a donut shop I do know about. There's not a good close donut shop. I'll have it all over me. I gave him to draw a map, Carol. Sorry. It's all in my mouth full. That's hilarious. Yeah, I need to ask you. I'd like to get them to come back and visit. I'd like to get them to come down here one year, sometime when they come back to visit his folks. That's about the only time he ever comes east. If I'm spitting food, I apologize. Yeah, you'd have to hide some Coke for Brenda. We're a split family in that regard. One side of us bleeds red, white, and blue Pepsi can, and the other one is all communist and red. I told somebody that one time, long time ago. Actually, it was Mark. We were doing something, and this is when we all still live close together. I told him Coke cans were red because they were communist. It was just a fun story we were telling about stuff. And he's never forgotten that, so he always reminds me of that. You buy a lot of which? Oh, Carol, I drink the real sugar Pepsi like Danny, which is absolutely my favorite ever. It reminds me of the old Pepsi. And I'm really surprised Coke hasn't gone back to doing the same thing because In my opinion, Coke would be so much better if it went back to that. The best Coke. I've never been a big Coke fan as far as soft drinks go, and I worked for them for a while, so I have to admit that I had to drink. I had to drink it during that time period. But back in the old days when we were young, some of us were young. The Coke in the 7-ounce bottles. If it was really, really, really super cold, was the best Coke I ever had. I mean, I know sugar. I guess sweet is sweet as far as whether it's good or bad for you. But I still personally think that real sugar is probably less bad than corn syrup sugar and artificial sugars. But I don't know. Tina just sent you a picture of your donuts through Messenger. Oh, okay. Hang on a minute. Through Messenger. Okay, hang on. Let me see if I can pull that up online. Oh my. Okay, well look here. What Tina sent. Look at those donuts. Yum yum. Those really look good to me, Tina. That donut and that donut, or if this is not called a donut, it's not a perfect round with a hole in the middle, but maybe it is. Those are the best looking. That's the way donuts are supposed to look, I think. That reminds me of donuts when I was a kid. I used to go over to a bakery near us that made. They had a outlet store in the side of the building where they sold day old bread and stuff, but they always had a big counter with all their fresh pastries and stuff every day. And that's what the donuts look like. That was Seaver's Bakery. I don't know. I think there's a Seaver's Bakery name out there now, but I'm not sure it's anywhere near the same. But those look like good donuts there. What are the cream? I see some filled donuts. What are those? Jelly or cream or some mix thereof? Oh, it's a Pershing. Now that I don't know. I got all kinds of X-rated stuff going on outside my window. Oh, we have a lot of bird um, mating and populating the world with new birds going on right outside our house. I think this year all of our bushes, shrubs, and a birdhouse we put up on the front porch, which I wish I had a camera on right now. Um, they've all got bird nests in them, so their bird activity in the front yard this morning was really busy. And if I'd had time to set that up, I guess instead of running to get donuts, um, I could have. Thank you, Tina. I'm not going to thank you for making me want those donuts because I'd like to have some of those donuts or and other pastries, Pershings and such. A tail light. Well, that makes sense. I like that. See, the one with the jelly in the middle was a tail light. Oh, yeah, permission slips, Brenda. You forgot to get permission slips. You can't talk about that stuff without making sure it's okay with everybody. I mean, at least we got to get some kind of all got chocolate ones. Oh, I got Brenda a chocolate one because she likes chocolate. Dave's got his Hostess donut. She likes those too, Dave. I'm partial to the little Hostess donuts that have some kind of breadcrumbs and coconut on the outside. I'm not or cake. I don't know what they call them. Natural unbleached sugar is the best, except maybe honey. I think so too, Tina. But anyway, I miss that because when Coke when Coke had real sugar in it, I think it was much better. When they changed it, they changed that over, and I remember when they did it because it was at the time, same stretch of time when they were changing everything over from returnable glass bottles to, well, cans were already around, but returnable bottles went to throwaways, plastic, and they had thin glass throwaway bottles at first. If anybody's old, Tina might remember. Tina and Chuck probably remember those. I don't know if anybody else does, but that's what they. Then they came out with plastic. During that same transition time, I think, is when everybody went to corn syrup, and that's when all the taste changed. I didn't think Pepsi changed quite as much, but Coke definitely changed. And yeah, they are, Dave. And I really think that made a difference, And then Coke tried to come out with whatever their new Coke was, and that nobody liked that at all. And I can't say I ever tasted it or compared it, so I don't know if they were trying to bring sugar back. Probably not. I don't know what that was about. Maybe it was just all about the other stuff that goes in a Coke that they were changing. Anyway, that flopped for them big time. I have an interesting story about that, about Coke and Pepsi and their battles and sugar. Um, I went for a ride one day, motorcycle ride with Philip and some other friends, and the whole trip was through the mountains and along the maybe part of the Little Tennessee River, and I can't think of the other river. But anyway, we ended up at this little store. I think it's called Webb's Grocery, and so we get off our bikes, and it's a hot day, so we all go inside to get us a pack of crackers and something to drink, or new Coke equal crap Coke. Yes, it was, Tina. It must have been because it didn't work. They anyway, so we get off our bikes and I go inside and I start looking for a Pepsi product of some sort because that's not, I saw Coke as I walked in the door. I didn't want a Coke. I wanted a Pepsi or a Mountain Dew or Sprite or 7 Up, whatever they sold here out. But I wanted something that Pepsi sold, not Coke. And I couldn't find any. I walked through the store. I looked in all the cabinets. I opened everything. I couldn't find one. I thought, what in the world? I've never been in a store around here that didn't have both, and some other things that I can't even think of right now. So I went up and asked the lady at the front desk counter, where are the Pepsis? She proceeded to tell me the story. They didn't have Pepsis in that store. They didn't carry Pepsis in that store. And the reason was during World War II, many of you have read or know from history. None of us remember that, I don't think. Sugar was really hard to come by, and sugar supplies were way down, and everybody got really limited. Well, Coke ran out. They saw this coming. And this is a true story. If you look back on the history of soft drinks in America, this is documented. Coke went out and bought up as much sugar reserves as they could find in the country and probably anywhere in the world they could get it from. I mean, literally bought it all, bought all the sugar or most of the sugar. Pepsi, which was their leading competitor, and this was intentional, suddenly couldn't get sugar. They couldn't get enough sugar to keep their product out and make enough of it to go around. They had some, but they didn't have enough to supply everybody. So during World War II, some stores, such as this little Webb's Market, the Pepsi dealers in that area couldn't keep the store supplied. So this old guy, he just got mad and got mad at them and said, well, I just won't ever carry your product again. And he has never carried it since then, to my knowledge. Now, if somebody's bought the store out and changed that, more power to them. I think I'd like to go in there and just offload a bunch of Pepsis personally. But good morning, Kay. But that store has not carried Pepsi since that time. And the whole reason for that was because Coke was hoarding all the sugar. they really were trying to knock Pepsi out of business, and I'm sure some small bottling companies did go out of business. Uh, I don't know about where you guys live, but around our place, early, even up until the 60s and probably early 70s, there were small bottling companies all around here that bottled different soft drinks. I mean, Dr. Enough came from Dr. Enough came from East Tennessee. That's where it was first bottled. Um, Mountain Dew came from Johnson City area. It, fun story about that. Mountain Dew was created for these couple guys invented that so they could to make mixed drinks with. They wanted to drink. I can't remember what they were drinking. Could have been moonshine, but they wanted something to mix it with, so they came up with a formula for Mountain Dew, and then it ended up, being an East Tennessee thing. Um, that's another. You can look that one up too. Um, but there were little companies, knee high grapes, and you could go into any country store and open up a cooler, which back then were the kind you opened at the top, slid the doors back, and look inside, see what was floating around in the ice, if you were lucky, because those were the coldest. But there were all kinds of different things. There were lemon drinks, and uh, you know, back then 7 Up, I think, was an independent thing, or at least up here. You had Mountain Dews, Pepsi's, Cokes, but you had all kinds of other little things. Knee high grape, grapeette. There's another grape, Fanta grape, um, and they were all in bottles and all returnable, and all went back in the storeroom out back when you finished drinking them. And as kids, and we'd ride our bicycles to the nearest little store and go inside and grab some peanuts or something and a cold drink and sit out on the front sidewalk or lean up against the front of the building. And in my particular case, the little store was brick. That's the one I went to the most, called Midway Market. And, we just sat out front, drink our cold drink, eat our peanuts or pour them in our bottles. Coke, that's a favorite thing to do down here. Pour peanuts into your Coke. I know there's other people here who've done that. And, then we could put the bottles back in the rack and head on back out on our bicycles. That way we didn't have to pay the deposit on the bottle. And they got the bottle back, and, all went well. So that was, it was fun time as a kid. When I was over at my cousin's house, he and I might ride the ponies up there and get us something. That there was a little store near their house. It was a real old fashioned country store that smelled like, as Nancy Griffith said, like peanut bubble gum rubbed around on a leather sole shoe kind of smell. I mean, it was just that unique country store smell. I don't know what it was, but all the stores around here had that's liquid peanuts and liquid of any Tina. You've not tried it. I know it's a southern thing. It might even be a country thing, mountain thing, but you had Town Club out of Detroit. Town Club. I don't know if I've ever seen Town Club. It's possible though. Detroit and Johnson City, Tennessee used to have a lot of connections. There were a lot of people. Apparently, there were a lot of people that lived in Detroit came down to Johnson City area for, I don't know, summer homes or winter homes, or just to get away and get in the mountains. And it was really closely linked. It was even all the stories and rumors and a little bit of history I've read about it. It was linked with people like Al Capone too. Well, that's from Chicago, but apparently the mob came down here, and it had a lot to do with running liquor. Probably started in Prohibition. Tina says, I'm good, Tim. I've heard of boiled peanut. Oh, boiled peanuts aren't necessarily one of my things either. But these are roasted peanuts, salted, and you pour them down the neck of the bottle, and they float in the top of the bottle. And they're good. It's just a good thing. And that's usually in Coke. I mean, I've done it in other things when I was a kid, but most of the time people do that with Coke. Used to. I guess it still work, and you don't have necks on bottles anymore, so the peanuts couldn't get up in the neck; they'd just be floating around inside the bottle. But we may be heading both Raleigh and Charlotte to visit family. Oh, cool! Carol, I hope you, if you do, I hope you guys can pass through this way. We'd love to go out and have dinner again. In fact, there's a standing invitation. Anybody ever wants to come down and go out and have dinner, by all means, let us know. I still want to do a get together someday. Kay grew up in a place where boiled peanuts were a bigger deal. I just saw her say that. Now you can only find Town Club in a few spots, Dave's Disney Dream says. Kay said Tina and peanuts and Coke or Pepsi is better than you think. It is better than you think. We had Town Club in Detroit. You could get 24 glass bottles in a week. Yes, Carol. That's what I used to have to stack when I worked for Coca-Cola. One of my jobs every day when I'd go to my different stores for delivery was putting bottles in wooden crates, stacking them up, putting them on my truck, and taking them back to the Coca-Cola plant to be washed, sterilized, and reused, which is what the hell we ought to be doing today. I don't know why we figured it was cheaper to use up, natural resources by making plastic that we throw away in garbage dumps in the ocean. I probably shouldn't get started on that, but I think we should be doing returnable glass bottles again. What's Tina giving away? I'll let everyone know when we figure out what we're doing. I'm still waiting to see if I get okay. What was Tina talking about there? She said, "Do you want it? Do you want it or not, Carol?" I missed something there. Maple bacon. Good morning, there, buddy. He heard get together and food, so he decided, look here, Mike. I don't have any bacon, but I got a maple donut. Look at that. I went and got that special just for you today. I took a trip this morning. Now, I'd love to have a cookout in the front yard. That'd be great. Mike, you come down. I got donuts for you, buddy. You come on down. And by the time you get here, I'll have as many donuts as you can eat. And John's doing ribs today. Tina and Chuck got the best looking donuts. And we got some coffee here. If you come down here, we'll pour some. Tell you what, you show up down here, we'll find some Coke and bottles and Pepsi, and we'll put peanuts in it. How about that? Tim, show him the. Oh yeah, here you go, Mike. Let me show you what Tina's got. Watch me not be able to find it. There it is. There you go, Mike. Oh, I can't make it. I can't make that one bigger. Sorry. But we got donuts and we got some filled donuts and we got something called a tail light or a stoplight. And we got Pershings, I believe Tina calls them. And man, they look good. They really do look good. Like I said, they look like good old donuts like I ate when I was a kid. What's the matter? Am I spitting into my microphone? You sound like a cow chewing cud. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it does pick up really well. I should remember that. I bought a peach, plum, lime, and lemon tree yesterday. We've been wanting to put some fruit trees in our yard. We keep thinking we'd like to, and I'd like to plant some pawpaw trees here in the edge of the woods. I'd love to put some fruit trees on this little hillside back here. We could get apples. They could fall off the tree and roll down the hill right to the back of the house. Don't those look good, Mike? I'm telling you, this kind of glaze on a donut right here is so much better than what they put on Krispy Kreme. And maybe it's the same stuff, but it just doesn't seem the same. And Krispy Kreme donuts, when they're hot and fresh and right off the shelf, they're not bad. They're okay, but they're not as good as these. I'll guarantee you they're not as good as those just by looking. Yeah, Brenda wants to put a bunch of red buds. I'd love to plant a whole row of red buds down here along the road. Or I was thinking about that while I was driving around today, what it would take to put some. Yeah, they are very sweet, and you're right, Diana. They're very sweet and they're rich. They're very very rich to me. And if I eat more than a couple of them, I don't feel good. Whereas older donuts, I could eat more than that. Mike, like I told him, I'd send you some, but they'll be stale when we got there. Yeah, they would. They wouldn't be as good. What I need to do, Brent and I need to do, is drive to upstate New York and go to the donut shop and have one with you guys. That would be the best idea. um, Diane, I have a friend who now lives in Indiana, but he worked for American Airlines for a long time and lived in Texas. And when he moved out there, and for many many years after that, they didn't have Krispy Kreme donuts, and he really liked Krispy Kreme donuts. Good growing up, he liked the chocolate covered ones with the vanilla cream, not like not the pudding style like Bavarian cream. He just liked the white cream. So every and then for years he would join us at Daytona for Bike Week. He'd fly into Daytona Beach, and Phil and I'd pick him up at the airport. But the first place he always wanted to go was to Krispy Kreme donuts, and he wanted to go while the hot light was on, which used to be a thing that showed they had fresh donuts, and I guess it still is. But the hot light seems to stay on all the time now. But he wanted to go there and get fresh Krispy Kreme donuts, and he'd go in and get a half a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts of chocolate covered cream filled, and that would be his special treat while he was in Daytona Beach. That was the thing for him. How much tariff do you think there would be on a box of donuts? I don't know, Mike. I have to look that up. Tina says Holland Farms is the local bakery. Yes, tell me, be one. I saw the name on the box, Tina. I wondered about that. Well, I saw part of the name. I saw land. I figured it was a land farm, something land farms, but I couldn't read it all. I got my donuts this morning from a little store local to the Knoxville area called. Brenda, help me out here. Weigels. And Weigel started in I don't know what year, but when we first moved to Knoxville, but years before that, like when Brenda lived in Knoxville as a kid, Weigel's was a local dairy, and they opened up their own little markets all over the place. Well, in a few places, and that's where you could go buy their milk. They sold their milk direct in their own stores. I don't think back then. I don't know if they sold it to large markets or anything. Maybe large grocery chains didn't buy it from them. So they created their own little market line, and it's called Weigel's. Well, back then they were just small stores. Main focus was milk and milk products. Milk, buttermilk, chocolate milk, eggnog in the winter. Some of the best eggnog around here. And that's what they did. Well, now they've grown into a pretty large chain of convenience stores in East Tennessee. I don't know how far they've spread out now. And one of the things they do is they make their own donuts. They started that a few years ago. When I was working, I used to go by Weigel's and get gas from my trucks and boats and stuff a lot because there was a couple convenient. I went in one day and suddenly they always had these racks of donuts that had Krispy Kreme or something else they bought or something got delivered, but not their stuff. And suddenly they had these cabinets you could open up and get out fresh donuts that they were making, and that's what these are. And I don't know, they were a little closer to what I called an old fashioned donut, or when I was growing up, donut. Who has lemon filled donuts? Lemon filled donuts aren't bad. Oh yeah, Krispy Kreme does have lemon filled. Some of them anyway. I don't know if all of them do, but usually, well, the main bakeries will if you buy them there. Lemon filled, usually Bavarian cream filled. In certain times of the year around here, Krispy Kreme has apple filled donuts. Those are pretty good. They usually have like a cinnamon dusting on top, and then they've got an apple pie type filling inside. Really good. Brenda ordered 15 bags of dirt yesterday, so I need for everybody to send me energy so that I can lift them in my wagon and dump them in my flower bed. Yeah, her husband tries to help sometimes, but he's not very good at lifting bags of dirt anymore. He's pretty useless, I think. There's a place in town with good donuts and big scoops of Carol. Do they do them together, donuts and ice cream? Because I just saw something about that. Maybe it's at Dollywood or something. Some place around Gatlinburg last week had, and it looked like a news store to me, but that was their thing: donuts and ice cream. I never seen that before. Now, when I was a kid, we used to get donuts, and they weren't necessarily real fresh. And my mom would put them in the oven and just warm them up just a little bit. And then I have had scoops of ice cream on that. That was good. I had forgotten about that. Yes, I can. If I can get a hold of one end, I can help her, which is really both embarrassing and frustrating for me because, Mark Zornis told me not long ago that years ago when we were running around together and blacksmithing together, and he thought I could pick up anything I put my hands on, and that I was strong, and now I can't help Brenda pick up pardon my language, a damn bag of dirt. Speaking of lemon, I always love the lemon cooler cook. Oh, Kay, those are so good. And you can't get those around here anymore. Can you still buy them in South Carolina? I love those cookies. They used to just come. I mean, I think we only could buy them in the summertime or something anyway. But those are so good. I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, good. Mike's on his way down. Well, I'll tell you what, you bring the kid down and Diana down, and you don't even have to pick up dirt, Mike. We'll grill outside and we'll have a big time. Brenda can make you something good, homemade baked, and we'll have steaks on the grill or something, or at least hot dogs. I'll bring 3 dogs too. They're good at digging holes. Bring them on. Your dogs can come to my house and bark at the dogs across the road that bark at me every morning when I walk out here. It's funny because it's gotten to be kind of a thing. The big Pyrenees that they've got next door, her name is Stevie Nicks, and she's a rescue, or that they were holding her, and they pretty much, I think, keeping her at this point. I'm not sure how old she is, but she always, every time I come out the door, she runs down here to the fence and barks at me. But it's almost become a thing where she sees me coming, and it's. I mean, I almost think we're sort of buddies now. If I could bark back, 3 dog night. The way my wife likes to keep the house cold at night, 3 dogs would be pretty warm. Oh, you can't find them either. They must have stopped making those then. Because, I mean, they disappeared from our shelves, and I've been looking for a replacement ever since. And as much as I shouldn't admit this, we used to go to the store and I'd buy 2 or 3 boxes of them, and those would last me about a week, and then I'd be back looking for more. Stevie Nicks is elderly and she can't hear very well, but she sure can bark. Oh, she can't hear well. Well, maybe she doesn't hear me when I talk to her. Maybe she thinks I'm saying something she doesn't appreciate. Didn't think about that. I didn't realize she couldn't hear that well. She doesn't look that old, but I guess she could be. I don't those and when you think about it, those dogs don't live that many years. They're pretty big dogs. Yeah, she can bark quite well, and she's still good run. She's still got good legs under her. I've seen her chase the mailman and the which truck is it? It might be the UPS truck. I swear they see it. She sees it coming, and she races across that yard to catch up with it. Okay, those lemon coolers. Haven't thought about them in years. If you find some, Carol, let me know. I may send money your way. They're just so good. They're you buy it in, put one in your mouth, and you get this really cool, refreshing lemon cookie flavor. I mean, they're just they. I mean, I love lemon cookies probably because of those cookies. Those are the ones that got me started, and I think Brenda turned me on to those. I think she brought some home one time or something. Pardon me. I started to do this show this morning from the front porch, kind of like back when I first started broadcasting from here. And I just didn't since I ran to get donuts, I didn't have time to grab my camera and set things up out in the front yard, or out on the porch. But maybe in a week or two, I'll do that one Saturday morning. Thought you were talking about the real Stevie Nicks. I was letting Morgan in from. No, they like I said they acquired her, fostered her or took her in. She's a big dog, and her name when they got her was Stevie Nicks. So I always say good morning, Stevie, when she runs down to the fence. They've got a pretty big yard. In fact, they've got it divided off into a couple of yards. And they let the dogs run. They've got puppies right now. Oh, Brenda says when the neighbors get puppies in for rescue, they name them for groups to sing. I didn't know that, Tina or Brenda. You know a whole lot more about this than you've let on. Well, hi, is it how is that pronounced? Mary or Mari? I don't. I'm sorry. I'm not always good with names, but tell her we said hello also. They've got I think they've got 2 sets of puppies right now, and one bunch are all black and white. They're mostly white. They've got black couple. I think they all have 1 or 2 big, black. Probably wouldn't be right to say spots, but splotches on either their rump or their head. Okay, I thought it was Mari, but I wasn't positive. Thank you, Carol. Um, and I was looking at them this morning. Man, they're getting big. I suspect they'll be gone soon. They take them out, and they took a whole group of puppies not long ago and put them on a plane or put them in a truck and transported them up to New England, Brenda, do you remember where they took those puppies? And the teddy bear puppies, I believe they called them. But this bunch of black and white ones they're growing up. I don't know how big they're going to get, but they've definitely enlarged in the last 2 weeks. I have one of them too. Let's see what Brenda says. Shows you how much he listens to me. Oh, well, thank you very much for that. I don't remember you telling me all that. I really don't. But I remember Stevie Nicks for some reason. That rhymes, Brenda. I'm already sorry. They work with the humane. Yeah, they do. I knew that. I knew that. They work with. They have a lot of dogs passing in and out. They seem to do a really good job with them. And they've got several dogs like Stevie that are probably not adoptable, or at least most people don't want them. And they keep them. They take care of them, and let them live a good life. Pretty sure Stevie, while she may not be a working dog anymore, she's enjoying her retirement years. Renee says, I have a tendency to keep the ones that are blind and just, you have or they have? You're talking into your phone. They do, not me. That's what I thought. She's speaking into her phone, not typing. Maybe she had a mouthful of donuts. Mike, is Mike still in here? Mike, are you ready? Chuck, are you ready for the playoffs? I know Mike's excited. The Jets are in, and the Jets are probably should do well. We named her Marielle, and she said nobody ever gets her name right. Oh, I like that name though. Yes, I am. Good, good. I am too, Mike. I just remember. I'm glad I thought about it because I've got to make sure I get both. There's 2 games on today, and they're both. I think they cross over. I don't know why they did that. They had all day. They could have split them up. I want to try to make sure I see both. So Chuck, I can't. Did Boston get in? I can't remember who all's in. Now I got to look at the. We'll have to look at the bracket again. Oh, I've got a bracket right here. He's probably telling while I'm doing this instead of just reading it or looking at the screen. Go Jets, go. No, I didn't think they did. I wasn't sure. I thought there for a little bit they were in the running, but I guess they didn't make it. I don't know who I'm going to root for, Mike. Tell me, Mike, have the Jets ever won the Cup? Now, that's probably a dumb question. They probably have, but I don't know. I was actually hoping the Columbus Blue Jackets might get in this year, so because they've never won the Cup. I don't know if they would have made it that far, but they had a shot of getting in as a wild card towards the end. They were actually playing pretty good hockey. Well, at times they had. I've seen them play several times this year when they looked really good. Unfortunately, the Predators really sucked this year, I can't get the Predators here on TV very often because the channels I get don't carry it, and which aggravates the Sam hell out of me. But so I didn't get to see them play a lot, but they really stunk. So maybe that's just as well. But I would have watched them. I mean, I don't. I'm not that kind of fair weather fan. If I cheer for somebody or if I like a team, I stick with them. AKA the Braves, for example, Atlanta. While they've had some really good years, they had a lot of really bad years, and they're in a slump right now too. So, but I'll still be a fan. I guess I was born with that. Mom and Dad were big Braves fans. Well, I had the bracket printed out. Now I don't see it. I think the last time that one was 1990. Oh, 1996. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna pull for them then. Is there anybody in right now that's not because you're black? No, Tina. It's because my cable doesn't carry the network. Some of the teams down here, and probably up there, I don't know, are linked with. I don't know. It used to be Fox Sports. Now it's Bally Sports or something. I'm sure that's something to do with gambling. But anyway, casinos. Anyway, I don't get those channels. So the only time I get to see the Predators is if they happen to be on ESPN or if they were on TNT or one of those channels. And unfortunately, I don't always know that's happening. I don't keep up. I haven't looked at their schedule constantly enough to keep up, but Phil does. And so he keeps me posted. But I used to be able to watch them every game. But now I don't get to see them much. I have to watch either on ESPN. I watch a lot of games on rerun off Hulu, and usually what I fall asleep to at night is a hockey game, or half the time. And then some nights I lay awake till 3 a.m. watching the game all the way through to find out who won. I'm back. Did I hear hockey talk? Go Devils. Go Devils. Let's see. But Tina, actually, let me back up just a moment. I have been blacked out when we live, which was the strangest thing because they sell out every game, or at least they were. I'm sure they still are. And we actually live 180 miles from Nashville, and occasionally I would get blacked out, at least until they were on that other Bally Sports Channel or whatever it was called. Like I said, it started out as Fox South, I think, or something like that. I'm sure somebody in here could probably knows who I'm talking about or knows that those channels. I don't know what the deal is, but anyway, my cable doesn't carry them, and even when I had the other cable for a little while that I get my internet off of for this show, they didn't have it either. Pretty, we have, we don't have. The internet's turned out to be pretty good around here, and it may be because it's decent internet. A lot of these counties up here jumped on the bandwagon when the government came out a few years ago and said, there was some money out there for people to do improvements like that, and so a lot of these areas got fiber optics put in. So we had this channel out here is a fiber optic cable. It's one reason it's so good. The one at the house, I think, is fiber optic to the pole. It's fiber optic all the way to this building for me. But the house cable, which is different, long story, frustrating story. It's a little different, but it's actually the internet's really good too. I mean, the internet here at both there and here, both cables I've tried up here, the internet connections are actually way better than what I had in Knoxville. I mean, in Knoxville it was decent, but it was never as good as it is here. Never as fast, and honestly, never as reliable. He's hoping for a WW Stanley Cup final. W and W. Okay, tell me, John. I'm missing that. I'm not at 180 miles away. I know, Tina. That I couldn't figure that out either. I mean, and yeah, even if they weren't sold out, you wouldn't think so. And the fact that they were all, like I said, that I've bought tickets, and tickets were always hard to get. And if you got any, they were nosebleed seats, which is about all I could afford anyway. And they were always sold out, but sometimes it would get blacked out. It didn't make any sense to me. We heard bits of that story. I say made it, but a long shot. Yeah. But you never know. Cinderella stories do happen, as Bill Murray said. Winnipeg, Washington. Oh, that would be a good matchup, and it could happen. Both of those teams are playing pretty good hockey, and well, Winnipeg's played good all year, and hence they won the President's Trophy. And I can kind of root for them a little bit this year, but they used to. I mean, when they and Nashville used to be in the same, I guess they still are in the same conference or the same division or whatever. They used to pound on Nashville and used to make me so mad. Go Jets, go! Tina said maybe you're my internet. Okay, thank you, Chuck. Woo, hot. Brendan, the coffee's not bad today. Funny thing happened on the way to the ranch yesterday. I got up here and I had to go into town for early therapy. So Brenda made my coffee and put it in the thermos. And this thermos of mine keeps coffee hot all day long, always has. And yesterday I came back from therapy. Of course, this could be what happened too. Brenda and I ate a sandwich and then I fell asleep for an hour or so. I was tired. Therapy was hard yesterday. And when I came up here and opened my thermos and poured my first cup of coffee, it wasn't hot. It was lukewarm at best, and I had to let it heat up on my warmer plate here. But it was just strange. I've never opened that thermos when it was cold. Even after overnight, it's always warm, drinkable. My best friend is a big Bruins fan, and he wants Leafs Oilers. Leafs and the Oilers. Mike's a big Leafs fan, I believe, aren't you, Mike? I just got some kind of weird message. Oh, Bruins. Oh yeah, I knew what you meant, Mike or John. Leafs and the Oilers. Man, that could work too, probably. I don't know. Maybe this is weird, but for the last several years, I've just wanted some Canadian teams to get in. I mean, I mean, let's be honest. It was a Canadian game, or at least the northern part of the North American continent, and the last few years, there's something. I can remember when hockey first started moving into the South, and nobody just laughed because nobody played hockey down here. People, I mean, unless you live in a place like Nashville, you're not likely to even find junior leagues or kids growing up playing hockey, which is why we don't have hockey players from Rogersville, Tennessee. But yeah, I know, Mike. Therapy's good, and I'm trying to keep. I don't have that many more sessions left, so I'm going to have to get off my butt and do it at home, or do it at the gym. Come on now, I'm not a big Leaf fan. I know, Mike. That's why I said it. I knew you didn't like them. Mike's not a big Toronto fan, which I guess just fits. You got you're a Jets fan. I guess I wouldn't expect you to be a big Toronto fan. I don't know. Are they rivals in that sense, Mike? I mean, Nashville and I felt like for a while Nashville and Winnipeg were kind of rivals because it seemed like we always ended up playing each other a lot. We played each other quite a few times back before they changed kind of how the leagues are divided up. But it seems like we always played the Jets if we got into the playoffs or anything, either that or San Diego Shark or whatever they're called. Sharks? I guess they're the Sharks. There for a while they were good, and they beat up on that Nashville 2 or 3 years in a row. Seemed like. Honestly, there were lots of rumors of Devils going south 35 years ago. I don't doubt that. I mean, Nashville came from, Atlanta had a team, but I don't think that's the Nashville team. The Nashville franchise came from somewhere up north. Come on, somebody, Chuck, you know? I can't remember now where they came from. They weren't the Whalers, although that franchise is now another team. Maybe that is Nashville. If the Leafs won, I'd be happy for them. The Atlanta Flames. Okay, I can remember when they played, and I vaguely remember when Nashville started playing. I had just moved away from Nashville. Whalers are now the Hurricanes. That's right. I knew they'd moved south, but I couldn't remember where. Nashville started playing in 95 or 96, and we left Nashville in 94. Wait a minute. Yeah, summer of 94. So, if I'd lived down there at the time, I would have gone. I've told this story. I have to say it's a good thing hockey was not popular when my brothers were growing up. They wouldn't have had any teeth. Well, that's a problem. Some of us don't have many now. They wouldn't have had any teeth. The idea of fighting and just having to sit in the penalty box would be awesome. Oh, me. Hockey still has that reputation, and there are still fights in the game, and it's unusual because you don't baseball, football, you don't see. I'm actually surprised you don't see more fights in football, but I guess hockey does fight more than some of the other sports. Maybe any of the other sports. I don't know, but I don't think it's as much as it used to be. Um, and now that they wear helmets and stuff, and it takes them longer to get undressed and ready to fight than it used to. I watched a game just a couple of days ago. I watched part of a replay on Hulu of I think it was a game from the 70s, maybe might have been 60s, but it was I think it was Boston and wasn't Pittsburgh. Actually, it was the Canadiens. That's who it was. And the goalies didn't have any helmets or mask on, and their padding was nothing like it is today. I wouldn't have stood in that between those pipes with no protection on back then. He thinks they were expansion team. They might have been. That could be, Tina. Dallas came from it. Yeah, they were was Dallas the North Stars? No, the North Stars used to be in the Minnesota Wild was a either expansion team or a team that moved because I thought they used to be the North Stars. And they went somewhere else. I don't know. I can't remember. Dallas was the North Stars. I thought so, John. Maybe I have them coming from the wrong place, but they were the North Stars. He has left the room now, so I can't ask him, but yes, I think they were the North Stars. I think they were. And they're not. I mean, the playoffs this year ought to be good because the teams that are in them, even a couple of the wild card teams, have actually been playing pretty good hockey. And Mike, I better take a bite of this donut before it gets any older, don't you think? I lost my napkin. I'll get some of that donut in my beard. I can save it for later. Yeah, we were talking about that, Kay, but we were thinking that the Atlanta team was were the Flames, but I'm not sure. I don't know about the Knights. I'm sure I could sit here and research all that and find it. Right at the moment, I couldn't even find my bracket, so I did print out a bracket, and I was hoping to, keep up with it better for the heck of it. Most of that is watch the games. Which is, well, I like the sport anyway. I thought you'd appreciate that, Mike. Good. And Mike, just so you know, I bought 2 maple donuts, one for me, one for you, buddy. So I'll keep it for a little while, pretend I'm going to eat it. Raphael's? It must have been like a minor league team then. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. There I go spitting food again. Back when I had all my teeth, didn't have that problem. I think it's great that hockey gets as much coverage now as it does because, yeah, the Atlanta Knights were in the IHL. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I grew up wanting to be a hockey fan. Like I said, there wasn't any hockey here, and I mean by here anywhere within this, 1,000-mile radius or whatever. Nearest hockey team was probably Detroit or something. I don't know, or Washington, or no, not Washington. Well, I'm not sure I can't remember all the original 6. Toronto, Montreal, Boston. Was Pittsburgh an original 6 team? What they call and maybe the one and the Rangers, maybe. I don't know about number 6. We don't care. It's your mic. Oh well. So still, actually, my mic is up there. I have it setting, and I've left it there because you guys say you can hear me fine. My mic is setting on top of my desk, above my computer monitors, and it's probably 3.5 feet from my face. Okay, I remember that. You know what? The interesting thing about that, I believe that's the same female goalie that ended up playing for the Knoxville Ice Bears for a little while back in the early aughts, maybe. Knoxville had a minor league team. We've been to see them a couple times. I'd like to go see them more, but we don't live close anymore. Anyway, they had a female goalie for a little while. Blackhawks, Leafs, Canadiens, Rangers, Bruins, and Red Wings. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's them. I thought the Red Wings were the other one, but I wasn't sure about that. And I probably didn't say the Blackhawks. I forgot about them too. It still amazes me that the National Hockey League, especially as we know it today, at one time only had 6 teams. I wonder how many times a year they played each other. I mean, they must have. Of course, the season probably wasn't as long then, but and their season is pretty long. It's almost like basketball. It might even be longer than basketball. I used to couldn't figure out why pro basketball, finished up in the middle of summer. But hockey's pretty much the same way. I don't know when the final game is scheduled, if it goes that far, but it's probably in June, isn't it? Which I like because then the off season's kind of short. Speaking of off season, I just changed the subject for a minute. I don't think the season was very long. It's longer than pro basketball. June. I thought so, Tina. It couldn't have been very long. I mean, if it'd been anywhere near as long as it is today, they'd have had each team would have had to play each other about 100 times. I think. No, not 120. Let's see, what's the season? They'd had to play each other 20 times at least. Well, no, I'd have to do that math. Never mind. The regular season is what, 80 something games, I think now. I think I'm spouting numbers out of the top of my head that may not be relevant. No, what I was going to say was change the subject and go to college football for a moment. This week, thanks to all the new rules and the portal crap and I guess it's the NIL rule that allows college players to be paid for their image and use of their name or whatever they're allowed. Tennessee lost their quarterback. It was announced, I think Monday or early I think it was this week. It might have been last, but I'm pretty sure it was Sunday. It was made public that Tennessee's quarterback or his manager, who they now all have a manager, it used to be against the law to even have a manager back if you were still in college, but they have one now, and apparently he demanded, more money. He was already a college football player, maybe a really good college quarterback. I mean, he was good, but it was yet to be seen how good. He was already going to get like $2.5 million for playing here at Tennessee, and whoever was paying that bill, and he wanted 4. So apparently the university said take a hike, which I'm actually kind of glad they did. I think $2 million. The controversy over whether college players should get some of the money. I mean, some of these big universities do make huge amounts of money. It's obscene. So I don't know if I'm totally against them getting some of that. At least they ought to have enough to be able to live while they're at school. Because it used to be, college athletes weren't allowed to work, technically, legally, weren't allowed to work jobs and all kinds of things to make money, even in the off season, if you were on a scholarship. Anyway, so Tennessee's lost their quarterback's going to jump through the portal and go somewhere if somebody's willing to pay him $4 million. And I don't like that. I wondered why there was so much of that going on. I didn't realize how much money we were talking. I don't think I probably just didn't pay attention to that because I didn't want to. But, we'll see. I don't know if anybody's picked him up yet or not. I'm going to go check on my carrot and lettuce seeds and see if they have sprouted yet. Okay. So does that mean you're leaving? Well, let us know or let me know. And don't try to pick up anything and hurt yourself. Please. 82 games per team regular season. That's what I was thinking. It was in the low 80s. Which, when you think about the season, how long it is, that doesn't even sound like a lot of games now. I mean, Major League Baseball plays, what, 120 or so a year is the regular season. It should go into an account that they don't get until they end up getting kicked off the team. If they get, oh yeah, and they get injured, that's not their fault, right? That might be a way to do it, Tina. But I don't like what it's turning college football into. I mean, right now it's pretty obvious that if you can do something to attract the right players, which now I know is, be able to give them a couple $1,000,000, that you can get a whole bunch of really good players to come to your team one year and win the national championship. I mean, that's what it's kind of turning into. Major League Baseball is a longer season, though, isn't it? Probably more games, Tina. They probably are, because they start in April and usually go to what, 1st of November? I think early November is the usually the finals of the World Series. It's going to be a little bit until we can plant some stuff here. Oh yeah, you got to wait till the ground thaws, right, Mike? 162. The Major League Baseball is 162 games now. Is that what you're saying, Mike or John? I didn't realize it had gone up that high. Heck, we still have snow on the ground. Oh, you guys do. Brenda, look when you go out to do your lettuce. I don't think we got any snow left. I didn't realize had gotten up to that many games. Of course, they play back to back nights and can play 4 or 5 times a week. That's not that big a deal unless they're traveling. Usually that is the difference. 3 or 4 nights at home, and then day or two off to travel to some other place and play again 2 or 3 nights. Been that way since '62. Okay, my bad. I thought they used to play 120 games. I really did. I'd lost track of that. Well, hockey teams do too, but most nights they get at least one night off between games, don't they? But I do know they play some nights. They play back to back. I mean, sometimes they play back to back even on a travel day. I know I've seen Nashville play somewhere and then get on a plane and go to after the game. Apparently, get on a bus or not a bus, a plane, and go to say Minnesota and play again tomorrow night. I know they've done that. Before that, it was 154. Okay. Maybe I'm getting confused because they used to talk about batting records and things like when Babe Ruth set his record home runs back then. Maybe they only played 120 games or something. Maybe that's where I'm getting that confusion. Comets played Wednesday, last night, and tonight to end the season. Played. Were all those home games, Tina? Did you guys go to all 3 of those games? Interesting. I don't know. I think hockey's an active and rough enough sport, and not just rough. I mean, those guys get out there and work their butts off. That playing back to back games could be kind of hard on a body. Maybe I'm not thinking that all the way through, but that's what I always thought. At least they needed, a little time off to recuperate. Wednesday and last night. Tonight's in Syracuse. Okay. I was talking about little uh, kids playing hockey, growing up playing hockey. If you go to Nashville now, there are teams. There is a league or a group, and it's because of the Predators. I mean, in fact, the Predators even built a separate facility somewhere in like the west end of town or something, some part of Nashville where they have junior leagues and stuff, play a lot. And no offense to baseball fans, but hockey is a lot more. Yeah, I mean, baseball is nothing like hockey. I mean, there is effort exerted in baseball. Don't get me wrong. I used to play baseball. My brother played baseball. My dad played semi-pro baseball, but you still don't work at it quite as hard as they do in hockey. My bad. So American League went to 162 and 61. National League in 92. Remember Roger Maris at 61 in 1961. Yeah, it had that's right, John. It had the asterisk beside his record. That was always the almost like the kiss of death. People would say, "Oh yeah, he's got 61 home runs with an asterisk." National League in 62. Anyway, I remember that. I guess they still do the asterisk. I mean, and I think, hmm, I was hoping this can of worms up, but I think there's a bunch of players out there now that have home run records that shouldn't even be counted. They damn sure should have an asterisk by their number because most of them were linked to steroid use. And I think they should have been like Pete Rose. I mean, if they're going to kick Pete Rose out for betting, on other teams or betting on his team rather, excuse me, and he can't get in the Hall of Fame, I don't know why in the heck they should be letting, players that were proven to use steroids should be playing. I mean, should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think they should, and I don't think their record should stand. It's not, some of the home run guys that went on to hit so many in the more recent years, were all juiced up. Have you ever been? No, I haven't. I'd love to go to Cooperstown though, Tina. That is someplace I'd like to go see because I think that would be really cool. Like I said, I don't watch as much baseball as I should or could, and the baseball team that was fairly close to us has now moved back to Knoxville, so now they're far away again. Not the well, they used to be they at one time the Knoxville Smokies, I think, and then they became the East Tennessee Smokies or something like that, and they had a big stadium not far from Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge rather. And but now they've gone back to Knoxville. Knoxville built a new stadium. Bonds, it's a shame he was a great player, didn't need to. Well, I think Bonds would have been. He might not have set the batting record he set because I don't think he was quite that good. But yes, he was a good player and he didn't need to be juiced up. And he's not the only one. I think they just got. I don't know if it's greed or what it is, but and they decided they needed to cheat. Oh, is Diana gone? Got some stuff. Have a good weekend, Diana. And Mike, too, if he's gone or if he's already gone or if he's going. What time is it? We won't be here a whole lot longer, probably. Even chasing squirrels, I'll run out of steam after a while. Well, I could probably sit here all day and just chat, but that's a whole other thing, isn't it? I'll have to do a marathon someday and stay on for 24 hours, like Josh Nelson did for Resort TV 1 last week. I woke up in the middle of the night and turned that on, and he was wandering around the Animal Kingdom Lodge, kind of by himself. It's very near to us. I enjoy going there, and I'm not even a big baseball fan. That's cool, Tina. I didn't realize it was that close to you guys. That's cool. I would like to. Uncas, eggs are head. Waiting. Water, did you put? Did you want to come online for a few minutes? Or are they on their way? I got to know something about this. Are the eggs in the snow? Or did a zephyr blow through and blow the snow away today? Probably not called a zephyr. there, but I didn't send you a link, buddy, because I didn't think you'd be here, but I'll be glad to if you wanted one. Well, hell, I'll send you one even if you don't use it. And if you're saying no, don't bother. Too late. I can't see you. Anyway, there you go. You got one. Pop in if you want to for a few minutes. In the snow. Well, that'll be fun. Mark, and Sean watch some baseball. In fact, they go to some games, I believe, in Salt Lake City, don't you, Mark? Occasionally, and then Shauna. Well, I guess they all root for the Red Sox, which I'm sure will bring some sort of comment from somebody here because I know there's some Yankee fans out there. Are they all bright color? Yeah, Mark, are they all bright? I did. I sent you a link, buddy. Pop in if you want. Everybody wants to know about this hiding the eggs in the snow. Boom. They will need to connect their mic before you can add them. It says your mic's not added, Mark. It won't let me connect you. Now that has never happened before. What the heck is up with that? Well, maybe he'll come back. No Yankee fan. Your guys aren't Yankee fans? Okay, good. I'm pretty sure I've told this story before, but my mom was a Yankees fan. I'm not sure why. I mean, she was a Braves fan first and foremost, but if the Yankees were in the World Series, she'd always root for them. And my dad was for anybody that was playing the Yankees, period. He did not root for the Yankees at all, never, ever. So around my house, the World Series was always a lot of fun. And we watched it or listened to it on the radio. We used to listen to Atlanta Braves baseball on the radio all the time. Mom and Dad did. Sit in the living room. That was all the way before I knew Brenda. I think they became Braves fans because Atlanta. They were in Atlanta and were the closest team around. I don't know if Dad was a Brewers fan or not Brewers. Excuse me, Milwaukee Braves fan before the Braves went to Atlanta or not. I want to say I doubt it, but hell, I don't know. Dad played semi-pro ball and may have even been around some minor league teams or tried to, or I'm not sure. So he may have even been maybe somehow that had something to do with them being big Braves fans, but they were Braves fans my whole lifetime. And when I grew up and left home, and my brother grew up and left home, my mom and my dad used to go to baseball games several times a year in Atlanta. They never took us that many times. I don't even remember going once. But we did go once, and that was I believe that was in '68. Was that when they lost to the Mets in the playoffs? It's either '68 or '69. And I can remember staying there because that was one of the things I really enjoyed about that trip was we got to go to what at that time was called the Grants Park Zoo in Atlanta. I don't know if that still exists. I don't even know if the park still exists, but it was a small park in the I don't know if I'd say urban. Yeah, I guess urban Atlanta, and I think it was named after Ulysses S. Grant too, of all things in Atlanta, and which is okay. Um, but they had a zoo, so we got to go to the zoo. That was the first time I'd ever been to a zoo. First time I'd ever seen those exotic animals, and it was still in the time period when a lot of animals were in pretty small confined cages. What's Brenda doing? Enjoying the porch swing on the breeze. Well, good for you. So, has your plants popped up or not? I don't know. I think Mark must have cut off altogether. Maybe company showed up. They're probably putting on some kind of big feed too. I don't, when all the kids and when all of their kids, Mark's step kids, who are all grown adults, and his daughter, and then the other grandkids, all then they've got a pretty house. They got a house full, and they don't live in a huge house. So I can imagine it gets pretty crowded on a day like today. In fact, I could see it getting so crowded that Mark would probably be outside somewhere, even on a cold day, just to get some space. Mark's not he's not a big crowd fan. I mean, don't get me wrong, he loves the kids and dearly, takes care of all that stuff gladly. Cooks cooks big meals when they're there and does all kinds of stuff. Don't get me wrong, but there is a point where he gets to the porch stage. Even in cold weather, I could see him sitting on the front porch just to get some space. I know when he goes to his mom and dad's, it's like that. They live in a pretty small house, and when his sister and her two daughters and their gang of kids all show up, and Mark's there and Shauna's there and Mark's mom and dad and all them, that house gets very full very fast. Last time we were there, it was pretty kind of like that, and Mark ends up out on the front porch. Well, I don't either, Tina. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan either, but I tolerate them much better than he does. I guess I've learned to from where I've lived and worked and that kind of stuff. But um, that's if I ever. In fact, it's a wonder I ever enjoyed Disney World because of that. I don't, and I do and have and would and will. But boy, when the crowds got bad, it was a little bit rough. But I handle it differently. I think some people, I think it makes them really anxious, and um, I don't know if that's Mark, but Mark definitely doesn't like to be in a crowd. I need a little time to decompress when I'm around lots of people. Yeah, that's a good point, Carol. Kind of funny for someone who spends every day with a class full of students and has a big family. Well, that's true, but that's different. That's a little different. Yeah, and you'd think that'd be the case with Mark's family, but it just gets crowded. And when you go to his mom and dad's house, his sister's kids and their kids they're not quiet. It gets pretty loud and pretty raucous. And his sister's how would I describe his sister? She's a firebrand, as they used to say. She's a pistol, so you never know what she's going to be doing. Sometimes you just need to get a little fresh oxygen. Yes, you do. Need to breathe some fresh air, not recycled air. When I took Brenda, and I used to not could wait usually to get out of the house. But when we would go to my grandparents for Christmas, and I took Brenda there several times when before we were married, even their house would be full. I mean, Grandma and Granddad had 5 kids, including my dad, his two brothers, and 2 sisters, and they all had family, at least 2 children. And then later, we 2 children's grew up. All us 2 children's grew up to be multiple children's families, and like our kids would be there. There would be, oh my God, I don't know how many people would be in the house on Christmas holiday. What do you think, Brenda? 30, 40? I mean, seriously, there were a bunch of people there, and most of the time the kids would be eating, of course, on card tables, in other rooms like bedrooms or out in the hall but the kids used to like to go get out of the crowd of adults and they'd go sit on the stairs. They had a 2-story house and there was a stairway right in front of the by the front door. Back then, my aunt lives there now. She's redesigned the interior a little bit, but and moved some rooms around to make more room. Um, but the kids would all be sitting on the steps. That's if it was cold. Now, if it was a warm summer day, we'd all be outside. I mean, we had big crowds there we might be there for Easter. I don't, maybe. And but all us kids, especially those of us that got a little bit older, wanted to grab a fishing pole and head to the pond because Granddad had two really good fishing ponds. So that's usually where we ended up. I mean, we were always outside, or we were in the barn playing in the hayloft, or out, squirrel hunting or doing something. I mean, we were outside usually. But in the wintertime and at Christmas, usually everybody was kind of cooped up, and man, it gets so hot in that house. Lord, the number is umpteen. It was quite a few, wasn't it? I think I finally graduated from the kids' table when I was 23. That could be true. That might not be too far off that myself, Carol. In fact, I never actually. Oh no, I'm going to make a comment at my dad's parents, my paternal grandparents. I never graduated to the adult table because all the women sat around the adult table, and the men were most of the time eating off a dinner tray, sitting in front of the TV watching a football game or a basketball game, which is where I migrated to. As I got a little older, when us boys that like football got old enough, we'd end up in there sitting on the floor or something, watching a football game and maybe eating off a tray. But up until then, I was still eating on the. In fact, I think there was times when I chose to eat at one of the smaller tables just to, have a little elbow room. I learned to never wear sweaters again in family gatherings. Oh Lord, it would get so hot. And my grandparents kept their heat up, just like probably like Brenda would say I do today. I'm like it warmer now than I used to, but I don't like it anything like they used to get. I mean, their house used to stay so hot. Mom and Dad were the same way. And Brenda's mom and dad got that way too, I think. Um, but the house would just get so overheated. It was bad. Tina says, my family dynamic never had a kid's table. Oh, really? You had a big enough table for everybody, or they just didn't let kids eat it? What was how did that work, Tina? Or were there not that many kids? Maybe we had. I think all my dad's brothers and sisters had 2 children each, except for one. And one of his sisters. Oh no, that's not true. One of his brothers eventually had ended up with 3. They had a late son that was probably not planned. Let's just say he was quite a bit younger than my other cousins. But everybody had 2 children, and then one of my aunts had 3, or they adopted one. Maybe that's how they had 3. And then, like I said, my Aunt Kit and then Uncle Rex, they ended up 2 girls and then a son later in life. My Uncle Alan had 2 boys, and Mom and Dad had 2 boys. So it was kind of it seemed like a family tradition there for a while for all of the adults in that family, at least, to have 2. We had a big enough table and not a lot of kids. Okay. Our mom at my grandparents' house, the kitchen there wasn't that big. And there was always a lot of cooking going on. They had 1 stove and not a heck of a lot of counter space. I don't think she had 2 stoves. Of course, everybody brought, pre-cooked food. Most of the time it was just being heated up. But there was always some stuff that was cooked at grandma's. So the stove was always going the whole time we were there. So that was hot. The kitchen wasn't that big, and it had a table in it where when they were growing up, they all sat around the table, all 7 or 8 of them. And So the kitchen wasn't that big. So the women would put all the food out on the table. We'd all walk through and get us a plate, or moms would make plates for kids, depending on how old they were, and then the women would sit down and eat at the table. That's pretty much how it worked there. And it was a small table, dinette table. I mean, I say all seven of them sat around that table. I'd say they were bumping elbows, but they did it. Probably had a leaf in it, so maybe it was a little bit bigger. But huh. Well, see, we never had a dining room per se. I never did growing up. I'm trying to think if we ever really had one. That one house mom and dad lived in, there might have been a dining room, but we just used it for a living room. And but probably originally, now that I think about it, that one room probably it was a house we lived in for a while, just 3 or 4 years maybe. And it might have had a living room or dining room, but we didn't really use it for that. Because at one point we were all eating at the ping pong table and downstairs because the siblings and cousins all had kids. Ping pong tables are good though, Carol, because they're big. We were usually eating on card tables, and everybody bringing card tables so there'd be enough room for all the kids. That's kind of how. That's the kind of. And now my other grandmothers, we never had those kind of gatherings, but mom had a bigger family. Um, there were 3 girls in that family, and 5 or 6 boys. I have to count them. I have to think for a minute. Uncle Afton, Uncle Charles, Uncle Bud, Uncle Jack. That's 5. I thought there was one more. So maybe there was 5 boys and 3 girls. So there was 8 siblings. And then they of course all had kids too over time. But they moved around a little bit. I had a couple uncles that lived in West Virginia for a long time because of work. That's where they found work. And I don't know. They just didn't. I don't know. Maybe they didn't like to get together in crowds so much. They didn't always. I don't ever remember my uncles sitting around a table indoors for any kind of. And we always went there for holidays too. It was just a different dynamic. Now, if we had a picnic or something outdoors and some kind of big family gathering, then they all went attended those kinds of things. See, and I forgot about that. I mean, you're a military. You grew up moving around in the military. I never thought about base housing. I mean, most base housing I've ever seen was fairly small, I thought, but maybe not. Maybe it depends on if your dad was enlisted or an officer or how that worked. I don't know. Never asked that. But I just grew up a country kid. I mean, that's how country folk around here did things, still do. I'm sure. Yeah, I can point to a lot of places where I'd be willing to guarantee you have been several generations of family have lived in and are still living in. We used to go to. There was 2 places on both sides of my family that were fairly near where my both sets of grandparents lived, where they had an outdoor facility because they were camp. One of them was actually, I think they both might have had camp. They were for the old camp meetings, early part of the 1900s, where people came and stayed for a couple of weeks and had big revivals. Well, they had facilities sometimes for that kind of thing. So we would go there for family reunions and stuff like that. And there would be, food indoors, but a lot of times we were sitting outdoors eating. Sometimes under a pavilion, sometimes just out in the rank has its privileges. Yes, it does. Oh, let's see here. Let me look up something real quick. I'm going to ask, instead of asking a question, I'm just going to look it up. Okay. Games today don't start till tonight at 6. Okay. Oh, and actually there are 6 o'clock and 8:30. So that should be a wide enough spread that maybe they won't bump into each other. My dad retired as a tech sergeant. It wasn't rank. Okay. My dad was a sergeant, Tina. He wasn't in that long, but he was a sergeant in Korea, during Korea. So we get to see the Blues play the Jets. I'd probably pick the Jets in that series. And the Stars play the Avalanche. That's going to be a good one. That might be a really good series there. Dallas has been playing pretty good hockey, and Colorado's played pretty good hockey most of the year. Air Force Tech E6. You? Or you're asking? My dad was Army. Oh, you're asking Tina. I know my dad was a staff sergeant. I'm not sure what it was called back then. I've just seen his uniform and some of the patches he had, which I wish I had now. I don't know what we did with that stuff. There was obviously a point where I didn't think it was as important, and now I wish I had all of it. I wish I'd talked to my dad a lot more about that. Maybe all I knew at the time was he was a tech sergeant. I was 7. Yeah, it's hard to remember some of that when you're 7. I've thought about. I didn't think about that too much, but I was born in 1957. Korea was in what, 51, 50, I mean 50, 51, 52. So my dad, he hadn't been out of the military, I don't think, terribly long before my mom and he ever married, and then I was born. And I know, right? Of course, it was pretty common back then, but I know he definitely had a high and tight haircut when I first remember my dad. My first images, he always had a real tight haircut, and made sure I did too for a long time. I never thought about that in a long time. His uniform used to hang in the closet. Damn, I wish I had that back. That makes me sad now to think about it. I don't know what happened to that. I don't know if they might have given it away before they moved and then couldn't, got rid of stuff, or we helped clean out stuff. I wouldn't have thrown that away. So if I was involved in it, I just don't remember it. Unfortunately, there were some people helping my mom and dad move the last time they moved that I'm not so sure I trusted, and I wish I'd been there more. Anyway, that's regrets I can't fix. But I sure wish I'd kept his uniform. He was at Fort Dix, John. I may have, I talked about Fort Dix not long ago, but I was an E4 buck sergeant. Staff is E5. Okay. I don't know how many years Dad was in either total. I don't know how long does it take to get to a rank of E4 or E5. Is that something you can just earn in a couple years, or does that take a bit? I know Dad was in the National Guard, and that's how he ended up in regular Army for Korea. FT Dix is 30 minutes from me. Yeah, I knew it was pretty. You told me it was pretty close. I didn't realize that. That's where Dad was for a long time. That's where he was in the hospital, Army hospital, to get his knee redone. And as far as I know, and I only remember him ever saying he did all the training and stuff that he did, or with other he trained other people, was my understanding, other soldiers. All that was at Fort Dix, I think. So since I passed the E5 test, had to re-enlist to get it. Had to get you for another few years. This is a friend of mine, Mark's dad. In fact, he was a gunnery sergeant in the Marines, I think, and I think there's one more spot above that, E6, maybe I don't know, E9. I don't know what the like master sergeant level is in the Marine Corps. I believe that's what he would have been, and he already had those papers. I mean, he was, but he had to re-enlist to get it, which meant another trip to Vietnam. And he said, "Nah, keep it." And that's when he left. That's when he got out of the Marines. He did 2 trips to Vietnam. He didn't want to do 3. He was ready to, I guess, be home with his kids. Mark was born by then, and was growing up. And I don't think Lisa was around yet. She might have been before he got out. But he said that 2 trips to Nam was all he wanted. Skipping out, everybody gonna go get the old yellow war horse out. Oh, that's that bull that bucked me off, so be careful on it. It's a joint base now, MDL, McGuire, Dix, Lakehurst. So that's like, used to be at least, Naval, Army, and Air Force all together. Of course, it would have been Army Air Force probably when it was created, Army Air. How did they say that? Army Air. Oh, I can't remember. What did they call it before? It was the Air Force. It was the Army. Oh crap! I can't think. My mind's going. I'm drying out my coffee cup. I can't think and do 2 things at once. I think it was just the Army Air Force. But Army was at the first of it. Yep. Brenda, I can help you. I can walk down there and help you put some of that dirt on that wagon if that's what you want to do. She's putting it on the trailer. We have a trailer for the tractor. One of the reasons we wanted to get a lawnmower tractor was so we could pull a little wagon around the yard and haul, things like gardening supplies and that sort of stuff around the yards, because neither one of us could carry it, at least not around the house. But we still have to load the trailer. So it still does require some effort. Excuse me. But it's a lot easier on the trailer than it is to throw it over your shoulder and pack it around the yard. Yeah. Thank you, Tina. That's that SOB bucked me off, about killed me, and now I'm half afraid of it. I got on it the other day and went up the hill and decided maybe I wasn't ready for that yet. My feet still don't work right. Lakehurst, Navy, Marine. Yeah, that's what I thought Lakehurst was. They test mostly carrier stuff in the main hangar built for the. Yeah, that's where famous for where the Hindenburg used to dock, and I think besides the Hindenburg, I think the Navy blimps or airships that were built in the 30s. I'm not sure how long when the last ones were built, but I think they maybe had them there too at one time or another. At Lakehurst, I mean. Now let me look that up. No need to sit here and be silly. The U.S. Naval airship program went from 1915, well, all the way up to 62, but they were blimps by then, and they were not as big. Some of these things, like the USS Shenandoah, the Akron, the Macon, those were huge airships. Oh, nearly the size of the Hindenburg, some of them. There's a picture of one moored to, I don't know if it's moored to the ship or moored where the ship can pull up beneath it, but it's bigger than the ship is. I know there was the, what was the, da, 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 da. What was almost all of them crashed and went down in storms. I'm not sure about fatalities, but um, they weren't very reliable in bad weather at that point in time. And they used rigid and non-rigid. I mean, the Hindenburg was rigid; it had a frame inside it, and the U.S. Navy had some similar ones when they were having that program. Um, but they also used blimps or non-rigid stuff that did not have a frame in it. The blimp I rode around in was all airbags or um, helium bags, actually, which I think's all the U.S. Navy ever used was helium. At least beyond the initial stages when everybody might have been using hydrogen, but as you know, hydrogen everybody knows was pretty nasty. Well, kind of iffy. We got a list of airships here, but I'm not saying them. Fabric-clad rigids were USS Shenandoah, ZR-2, which is actually built in Britain. The USS Los Angeles, I didn't know about that. That was German built. Wow. Obviously, that was before World War II. I know about the Akron and the Macon. The Akron went down in a storm in 33, and in 35, the Macon had a structural failure of some sort and killed 2 people. Oh, 73 people died when the Akron went down. They went down at sea, if I'm not mistaken, or out over the ocean anyway. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. I'm not sure how I got there. I think airship travel would be so cool though. If it was blimp type with helium or some safe uh, buoyant gas to take us up. I think that'd be so cool. I think it'd be so neat to cross the ocean in a blimp or an airship. It would have to be somewhat similar to being on a real ship. I think about things like that. Of course, I also want to ride around the United States on a train, so call me a little old fashioned, I guess. I thought there was another one though that went down at sea. It was called a different name. Yeah, I guess that's it. I know we didn't stay in that line of work very long because we didn't have a lot of success with it. Us as in the national us. Neat thing about those airships, they were made to be. They thought they could make them floating carriers. They had hangar bays inside, and they had airplanes on them that they could launch and pick up, and pretty neat. Yeah, one of these airships carried 5 Curtiss F-9C Sparrowhawk twin wing fighters. Biplane. My friend Philip used to work in Akron, Ohio, where there was 2 or 3 of those blimp hangars. Still are, as far as I know. Finally finished that donut. I've been working on that the whole show, so I just finally decided to eat it in front of everybody after all. Well, anyhow, it's afternoon. Everybody may have things to do for the weekend. I hope where you're at, it's a nice weekend. It's a pleasant day here. It was a little cool this morning, but it's supposed to be warm this afternoon. It was 80 here yesterday. So I need to get out and probably help Brenda do a few things. I need to try to accomplish something in this mess behind me. I need to start working on a book that I've been working on. Like I said, Mark, someday we'll show it to you. Mark's made drawings for that already. I'm excited about it. If any of you ever saw the book that Mark worked on, it was about the black-footed ferrets in Wyoming. I've got copies of it. I can't remember the name. Carol, I think I sent you a copy for school. Did I send you a copy for school? If I didn't, I meant to. That's okay, Kay. Don't worry about it. 76, John said. Woo. Surprised you're not out golfing. And I don't see that book. Anyway, Mark did all the illustrations for that. So if you've ever seen that book or happen to have a copy of it, all the drawings and all the work in that book was done by Mark. I mean, it was really, he's good. He's really good at that when he gets in that. But he's probably not listening. And if he is, that's fine. But he's one of the most talented individuals with it. I mean, he can do anything with his hands. I swear he can. I mean, that man can make some beautiful leather saddles, and he can draw pictures of rabbits. And speaking of that, John, when I drove down to get the donuts this morning, there's a golf course about 10 miles from here. I drove by that, and they were lined up to get tee time. That's the first tee to tee off. And I thought, would I want to be standing there doing that? And I thought, no. So, good idea on good planning on your part. Besides that, you're retired. You don't have to go on Saturdays, right? You can go in the middle of the week. Well, Carol and everybody and Tina and Kay and John, thank you for, abiding me to sit here and chase squirrels today. I'll have something better to talk about next week. And Mark probably be back. He may not be. But we'll go from there. How about? And everybody have a great weekend. If you're doing Easter stuff, enjoy, celebrate. If you're doing pagan stuff, enjoy, celebrate. If you're doing Passover, enjoy and celebrate. Do whatever you do and have a good time with it. And here is my wife just stepping in the door. And why is she? Oh, she brought me some Kleenex. Isn't that lovely? I was just about out too.
Hello, everybody.
There she is, delivery lady.
UPS.
Was that the box? Was that big box that was in the living room on the porch? It had 2 of these in it. And you could park a car in the damn thing. It was big. Anyway, I was down to my last couple of Kleenexes out here, so I had to order some.
Time to go.
Room. All right, I'm signing off. So
you're signing off.
I guess holler at me when you need me. Okay. So anyway, hey, Carol, everybody said hi, by the way.
Okay, hi, bye.
So everybody have a great weekend. See you next week if you can. until we all can meet again, or till we can maybe meet in person. Have a great. Hope everybody has good health and a great time. And anyway, happy Easter, happy whatever the other day. Stoke. What did I say this? How did I say this pronounced? S. Anyway, pagan day. It was a pagan holiday and all that. So have a great weekend, everybody. Bye bye. Thanks for being here and love y'all. Really appreciate it.